Welcome to Naples. After 214 kilometers, stage 9 of the 2024 Giro d'Italia finishes here along the coast. Vesuvio over there off to my left-hand shoulder, Castello di Ovo, and right over this way, the finish line. And it was a day of first because the first victory for Olav Kooij, the Dutchman of Visma-Lease bike, in his first Grand Tour, celebrating in style, pipping Jhonatan Narvaez in the Ciclamino purple jersey, points jersey, and in third place going to Sebastian Milano, teammate of Tadej Pogacar, race leader. As I mentioned, 214 kilometers, a day marked by a two-man escape from Avezzano here to Naples. In the two-man group, well, his teammates from Team Polti Cometa, Andrea Pietrobon and Mirko Maestri. I spoke with Andrea here after the finish line, and he admitted that they didn't really think they had a chance out there today, but they were going to give it a go, and they gave us all a lot to watch during the long day out. Back behind, it was Alpecin de Koenig doing the work. We saw also UAE Team Emirates up there protecting, riding around Tadej Pogacar. Also Lidl Trek, the team of Jhonatan Narvaez, doing some work as well. 80 kilometers out, it was right under 2 minutes to go. But stick with me here because things are about ready to get interesting. 60 kilometers to go, thereabouts. The cameras caught a crash with Max Schachmann, Team Bora Hansgrohe, and Geraint Thomas, who sits third overall of Team Ineos Grenadiers. They popped right up. It looked like Schachmann was the worst off. Geraint Thomas, he did hit the ground, but he didn't seem too damaged, at least from the initial sighting that we had. He was led back by three teammates, Tobias Foss and the two Swifts, Connor Swift and Ben Swift, easily got back up front. The gap was coming down. Around 27 kilometers out, we had our one and only categorized climb on the day, right over that way, right down the coast. There, it was the move of Julian Alaphilippe that started to light up the final. The former champion, world champion, twice world champion, the Frenchman of Soudal Quick-Step, launched his attack. That formed a six-man move, and he told me this morning he would do it, and he did it. The American Kevin Vermaerke from Team DSM went on the attack as well. Unfortunately, in that group, as Vermaerke explained here at the finish line, was Nicola Conti. He did not want to work. He was an Alpecin de Koenig rider, and he was holding up things because obviously he had an in-form Australian, Caden Groves, back in the group. And we saw Kevin had really practiced his Italian hand gesturing over these last 8 days because he was not pleased with the lack of cooperation with him and some of the other riders. That didn't stop Julian Alaphilippe, and he was joined by Ewan Kostu. The two riders pushed on. Finally, it was just Alaphilippe, and he was storming ahead. A lot of French fans and international cycling fans were hoping that Alaphilippe would come back and pull off a big win after several years of not being at the top. Unfortunately, he began to fade. It was a bit too much, 27 kilometers, a long effort. 7 kilometers just as Alaphilippe was coming back, we saw the attack of Jhonatan Narvaez, solo attack. Of course you remember his name. He was our Ecuadorian friend who attacked and won on stage 1 in the sprint over Tadej Pogacar. Well, he was out on the attack in the Ecuadorian National Championship jersey, pulling hard on his own, driving, not looking around to anyone else to say, hey, are you gonna do pulls with me here? No, he just got to the work because he had to. He was on his own, driving to the finish line, and we had a series of turns right down there, coming in there, U-turn, 2 right-hand turns, and then the final stretch into what I think was a headwind coming up here. And it was only in the final 150 meters we saw that his day, his chances of a second stage victory in the 2024 Giro d'Italia for Jhonatan Narvaez were dashed. And they were dashed because Lidl Trek was doing the work. Also, we saw up in there a couple of Jayco Alula jerseys. One was Caleb Ewan, who's in form. You can see him climbing well in this race, had a teammate with him, a couple of Lidl Trek riders riding for their team captain, the tall Jhonatan Narvaez in the purple Ciclamino jersey, and we saw a Quick-Step, a Soudal Quick-Step rider up there. Well, we knew early on the Belgian sprinter of the team, Tim Merlier, was distanced, so that gave the chance to Luc Lamperti, riding in his first Grand Tour, the Californian. He was up there bumping shoulders with Jonathan Milan, trying to get his position to do the sprint. Unfortunately, he got washed away, but got a lot of experience trying to do so. Also, you saw the pink jersey of Tadej Pogačar up in the mix. He had up in there Sebastian Milano, also Rui Oliveira, the team's sprinter and lead-out man, the only two fast men that they had here besides the climbing team. I think also Felix Groschachner was up there, and Tadej was also looking after himself for the GC, making sure not to lose positions. And when the sprint fired up, well, it was Olav Kooij going up against Jonathan Milan. Milan already with the win here in this Giro d'Italia, being denied the other day when the escape with Benjamin Thomas won Team Cofidis. Well, today he wanted to get that victory, but it didn't happen because it was Olav Kooij getting his debut win in his debut Grand Tour, his biggest career win, and it means a lot for the Team Visma-Lease bike, who's been crushed. Last year they won all 3 Grand Tours, absolutely dominated the Grand Tours. This year they've been hit with crashes. Of course, Jonas Vingegaard in the Tour of the Basque Country, and question marks around his Tour de France participation in this race. Robert Kissink, Christophe Laporte, so many other injuries that we can't go into right here. But for Olav Kooij to pull off the victory, that meant a lot. Never fear, because Luc Lamperti did not drift back that far. He was up there contesting, finished 15th on the day, right behind Olav Kooij. Second was Jonathan Milan. Third, Milano. So yes, Milano's getting his chance to go for sprints despite the UAE Team Emirates here for the overall classification with Tadej Pogačar. Now let's take a deep breath, because we have this cool air off the med coming in. We're here in Naples, sunshine, the land of pizza, and Tadej said in his dream rest day scenario, he would go get a pizza, have a perfect ride with his teammates, sip a little coffee from Naples. Maybe he can only have the coffee from Naples. The pizza, well, the riders can't enjoy that, unfortunately. Not the right calories that they need for 2 more weeks of racing. Is Tadej Pogačar dominance, 3 stage wins, but today it's a celebration for the Dutch rider, Olav Kooij, winning stage 9 here in Naples.